Greetings everyone, welcome back to Taoist Magick. I've made a pretty good name for myself by talking about relatively obscure subjects like weather magic and Lamat. I have this reputation now as the person who goes into lesser known magical topics that aren't on the forefront of the occult community. Like anyone else on YouTube, I get requests from my viewers on a weekly basis, asking me to talk about different types of spells. And the top 5 most requested videos are always things like Taoist sex magic, Taoist curses, love spells, making pacts with Chinese demons. But there is another topic that's easily in the top 3, and that is astral projection or soul travel. So popular is this topic that I could speak to a random person in the street and ask them, have you ever heard of astral projection? I bet 7 out of 10 people would say, absolutely yes, we've heard of it. This is no longer an occult secret. This is not really a fringe topic anymore. It is a part of pop culture. Why is it that astral projection has become so popular in the last 20 years or so? It is mostly thanks to Hollywood and the Western movie industry in general, especially horror movies where astral projection is a key plot point. Films like Insidious do a really good job of making astral travel look and feel frightening and sinister. It's a great way to sell tickets and make money. Playing on people's fears and paranoia of the supernatural is a very effective way to get their attention and to keep them coming back. But do the movies do it justice? Whenever a spiritual subject becomes popular, you will get a lot of misinformation, which makes it difficult to know what is safe to try and what isn't. You'll likely hear some methods in this video that you wouldn't have heard before. Please keep in mind, I am approaching this subject from the Chinese Taoist perspective and my own personal perspectives. Astral projection, soul travel or OBE, out-of-body experience, is defined by most as allowing the soul or consciousness to temporarily leave the physical body, separating from physicality whilst maintaining a level of vivid, heightened awareness. Soul travelers often speak of exploring the universe, visiting different levels of the astral realm, being able to communicate with astral beings, and seek advice from celestial masters. Then reawakening by returning to the body to use the information for the benefit of ascent or personal enlightenment. It's an ancient practice which is found in many different cultures. In some schools of Taoism, the state of existence is broken up into 2 main categories. The conscious waking world that you are in right now is known as the yang state, and the astral, spiritual, metaphysical world is known as the yin state. The body itself is viewed as a bridge between these 2 realms. Nobody exists in just one state. Every single dream you have takes you into a yin state, and every time you wake up, you return to yang. This is a regular daily occurrence. The Taoists believe in more than just one soul. The concept of the Han and Po, the ethereal and corporeal souls, depending on the schools of Taoism that you subscribe to, the Han soul may consist of 3 energies known as the 3 Han. This represents a person's spirit, their consciousness, and their intelligence. All 3 create the person that you are today. Han, in general, is the spiritual, light, young soul that leaves the body after physical death. In some cases, the Han soul might remain on Earth. This is usually due to the details of the person's death, if they died a violent death or died with severe regrets. The Han may be lost and it may cause havoc on Earth. The 3 Han souls reside in the liver. Po is the more earthly, heavy soul that may consist of what is known as the 7 Po, and this represents a person's physical nature, such as their strength and bodily instinct. These Po spirits are most active at night. Unlike the Hun, the Po stay with the corpse after physical death, dissolving and decaying with the body in the grave. These 7 Po are thought to reside in the lungs. Some Taoists believe that the yin aspect of their souls governs our desires for food, sex, power, wealth, and general materialism, which is why meditation-based workings are done to keep them balanced and in check. I prefer to view the 3 Hun and 7 Po as different expressions of vital energies rather than souls. Some Taoists believe that during soul travel, the spirit body is projected outward, but it can only go so far because this spirit body is attached to a silver cord. This energetic cord is used for the safety of the traveler. Some see it as a burden because they want to explore deeper and more distant realms, but they can't because of the cord pulling them back. Others like me see it as a safety net, reminding the traveler not to go far from the physical body. It is my own personal belief that this cord tends to expand on its own after several experiences. So if you practice astral projection for say 6 months on a regular, weekly basis, you will be able to project further into higher planes of reality, but the cord will still be there. It doesn't go away unless you cut it. So your growth and progress as a traveler also applies to the growth of the cord itself. You grow together, which is why personally I would never tell anyone to sever this cord. Without it, you're like a ship at sea without an anchor. When the time comes and you really need it, you'll be in trouble. For some people, astral projection can occur spontaneously. Without warning, they leave their bodies naturally. These people may travel on a regular basis, but they cannot induce the experience at will. Therefore, they have little control. They may be able to project, but they cannot go far. They may encounter astral beings, but they can't communicate with them. Despite this, the experience just happens. Others may only travel a handful of times, but never forget what they have experienced, whilst the small select few will cultivate themselves over a time span of many years by practicing inner alchemy, what the Taoists call Neidon, working to develop their many spirit bodies. These individuals have mastery over the practice. I'm not claiming to be one of them. One thing that must be said, anyone who tells you, if you do this, this and that, and if you say this incantation or you carry this amulet and you are sure to project, it's not usually so straightforward. There is no guaranteed method of astral travel. There are things that you can do to increase the chances and likelihood of it happening, but you can never be 100% certain. It is very common for travelers, especially those who are just starting, to see their own physical bodies when they project. People report laying in bed and rising up. When they look down, they see themselves fast asleep, motionless and peaceful, yet they are able to see, hear, touch, taste and smell in a much more intense way. Some Taoists believe that the secret to astral travel lies within creating spiritual bodies or mastering the art of Feng Shen, bilocation. This is a deeply difficult skill, one of the hardest actually. It involves the adept multiplying his body to 2 or more identical versions in separate places all at the same time. Think of the Taoist master Zhuo Se, Master Blackhorn, who is really one of the greatest Taoist magicians to have ever lived. And I'm going to go a step further than that and say one of the greatest magicians to have ever lived. Please see my in-depth video on him and his magical skills. Master Blackhorn used the Feng Shen type of magic to escape from prison after Cao Cao ordered his execution. He escaped by fooling the guards by creating copies of himself. Feng Shen, or making dual images of yourself, is a form of astral projection. Such methods include ritual bathing, purification, and fasting to purify the body. One should then go into a deep-seated meditation and imagine themselves being divided into 3 separate spirit bodies. Novice practitioners will often create bodies that are different sizes, some small and others large. Some Taoists will start off by creating a yin gren, a shadow person. I bet my friend D.H. Thorne would know a lot more about shadow people than I do, considering this topic is one of his fortes. I'm just going to be explaining how they relate to the Fen Shen techniques of dividing the body. These strange shadow beings are usually only a few inches tall. They tend to look like moving silhouettes. These shadows are imitations of the magician, and they act as substitutes for the practitioner. The magician can send these shadow people to far distant realms. They can explore what the Taoists call heaven on behalf of the magician, and they can talk to astral entities and bring back wisdom. And let me just be clear, I am not a master of Fen Shen. I am not a master of Taoism in general. I am someone who is very enthusiastic about weather magic, and I research weather magic from all cultures and all backgrounds, and I've kind of settled with Taoism. But I am definitely not a Taoist master. I'm not a priest or anything like that. I hold no titles. The Lord Josh title is completely separate. But when people are referring to me as a master, I would say please don't. It's not a humility thing because I'm anything but humble, but it's just wrong of you to refer to me as a master because it's not true. I am just very enthusiastic about really one subject, and that is weather magic, and I'm mediocre at best at other things. I have had some basic success with creating yin gren. About 4 years ago, I wanted to make contact with a celestial immortal who was in a high vibrational state of heaven, really high. I could not reach this level by astral projecting myself because it was too far. My silver cord kept bringing me back. So I decided to send a yin gren on my behalf to make contact with this immortal. I thought it would be safer. I created a really small yin gren by using intense concentration. I practiced visualization exercises by staring at my own shadow. I would imagine that a piece of the shadow would separate from the main shadow and it would start to move on its own independently from me. This works better if you try the exercise facing a mirror, or even better, looking at your reflection in water, like a gentle stream. It helps when the water distorts your image because it tricks the mind into thinking that you are dividing your physical body. When the mind gets tricked by the ripples in the water, even for just a few seconds, this is where the magic takes place. To break that down a bit more, keep this golden rule in mind. No pun intended, we like gold around here, don't we? Anything you believe to be possible is possible if you believe strongly enough. That is a rule I live by. When I practice any kind of magic, I always keep that in mind. So if you see a part of yourself detach and move on its own, separating from your reflection, but you think, hang on, that was just me hallucinating or my imagination. No, that's the magic working. That is the first step in creating a spirit body. It also helps to find a good location. I found a small stream in my local forest and I just sat facing the stream, visualizing myself being duplicated and divided. I practiced 40 minutes a day. I did these exercises every single day for about 2 weeks or so. At first, I couldn't really get anything to work, but as the days progressed, I managed to see more and more spirit bodies being created in the reflection. Every time I saw another body being created, I took a long deep breath and believed even more. And that strong belief is fuel for this to actually work. This really is a form of meditation. You'll laugh at this. I did manage to eventually develop a very basic, rudimentary yin gren, which was about 4 inches tall, and it looked like a shadowy ball of energy. It had no definition or any kind of facial features. Compared to the work of the masters, my Yingren was really underdeveloped and probably a little weak. Like I say, I'm a weather magician first and foremost, but I still sent it to the realms of this immortal, and I was still able to make contact with him through divination. So in the end, my goal had been achieved. If you are interested to know which immortal I had contacted, it was Master Blackhorn himself, Zuo Se. When I astral project, this is just my perspective, but I feel like the astral has no concept of time. There is no past or future. So when people say I communicate with ancient masters, I feel like in the astral they aren't ancient or old, they are just masters. So this dimension or bunch of different realms and dimensions exists outside of our universe, outside of time. That's what I think. I also tend to believe that astral projection relies heavily on the movements of the astral bodies, the stars, planets, and certain auspicious and inauspicious constellations. The most soul traveling that I ever did was in 2012. I kept a dream journal and I recorded 19 separate experiences where I had totally left my body and explored whilst I was asleep. 19 experiences all in 1 year. It's quite crazy. Unfortunately, as the years went on, it became less and less. In 2013, it went down to only 12 experiences. In 2014, only 8. To the point where 2019, I think I had one soul travel experience in March or April, and that's it. So if you compare my knowledge, my experience of magic, my drive, the 2019 Lord Josh and the 2012 Lord Josh were on completely different levels. Back then, I was really still a novice, just stumbling through magic, so I know it has nothing to do with a lack of knowledge. For those that may not know, I also follow a Mayan path relating to Lamat. And I think in 2012, because of the whole Mayan calendar phenomena, which totally hijacked the mainstream, I think all of that energy contributed heavily to my ascent that year. And not to get too off topic here, but the whole 2012 thing with the Mayans, a lot of people have forgotten how big that was. As a person who loves researching Mayan mythology, when 2012 came around and the years running up to it, I felt all of that excess energy. And it was amazing when that year hit. It was just a roller coaster ride of a spiritual year for me. And I'm in quite a few Mayan communities, and all of the people I spoke to that year, we all had very similar experiences. It was just kind of this cosmic energy, I believe, collective energy, all of us together, uploading it into the universe. And it does amazing things when people sort of get together with the same intent. It can be dangerous, but it can also be very beautiful. And I feel like that's why I had those amazing experiences. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, everyone. Oh, before I go, please watch Golden Bolt. It's on YouTube right now. It's my glittery, fabulous, entertaining green screen project. It's full of fashion, lights, camera action, explosions, one-liners, you name it. It's extremely entertaining and you'll absolutely love it. Check out Golden Bolt and I'll see you soon.